Welcome back, guys, to the series. This is going to be a three-part series. This is part 2 of the 029 Stihl chainsaw rebuild. So as you can see, I'm going through scrubbing everything, inspecting, making sure I don't need any other parts before assembly. This is a very important step, is to clean everything. This will allow the end result to be predictable. Very important. Stihl suggests that this should take roughly 2 hours and 15 minutes. I had closer to 3 into it. The saw was ran pretty hard and put away wet, let's just say. So I had a lot of extra cleaning that Stihl doesn't account for when they come up with these repair times. But with that said, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Slowly getting this thing back together. I'll show you how to rewind a recoil. You know, this rope here was fraying, it's ready to break, so why the hell not just change it. And looking at this, someone put the wrong size rope. Should be 3.5 mil by like 38-39 inches. Just go to your Stihl dealer and say, I need 4 feet of 3.5 mil rope, and they should be able to help you out. If not, you shouldn't probably be going to that Stihl dealership. Alright guys, so you saw me just cleaning this thing up. When I was cleaning it, I was holding this down. Okay, you don't want that spring to pop out. Okay, it's a without destroying it. Like I was saying, don't mess with this spring if you don't have to. Okay, if it does come out there, you can't get it back in, but let me tell you, your thumbs are going to be sore trying to hold this down and wind it in there. It's just not a good situation to be in. You know, usually at that point you're better off to go buy a new one, because when you buy them new, they're already wound and then they're wire tied down. So then that way you just slip it in there. But anyway, so we just want to lube this spring up a little bit. I'm just using some cable lube, like a motorcycle or whatever, but you can use whatever you got laying around. Kind of keep it from rusting and operating smoothly. Alright, so now you're ready to put your rope raider in. But before that, since this is all apart, like I said, get you some 3.5mm rope. That's about 39 inches is what you need, but they sell it by the foot, so you'll get 4 feet, so you may have to trim it some. And I may even have to trim this. I gotta look at it and see. And I already tied my knot. Okay, it's just a simple knot. There's other ways to tie knots, but you know this way is fine. Alright, so you're going to start that through the eyelet there, right? Through the eyelet, pull that through. Okay, and you're going to find your hole here. Alright, that's what you call a rope rotor. You're just going to feed that through. And also, melt your ends with a lighter. Okay, it'll set up like it's like a nylon rope pretty much. So when you melt it and it cools, it turns into like a hard tip for it to allow it to slip on in there. So you might have to get something to help it. Alright. I'm holding this as if it's sitting in the housing. Alright. So get you a pick and work it out of there. Just tie another simple knot, right? Rope, just like you're tying a knot. Now when you tie this, you don't want to leave a lot of extra there. You leave too much, it won't fit in this recess. It'll cause you a problem. So pull that tight. Okay. Just going to pull that through. Once I get this together, I'll push that down in there so it's flush. It's not necessary, but just one of those things I do. Alright, so this spot here, this space, this opening, engages with this. It engages with this guy right here. So I'm going to actually put it on where it's not lined up, okay? But all you need to do is spin it lightly, okay? And then it'll drop right in. See that? So spin it lightly, and it drops right in. Not a big deal. Alright? Now, if you're paying attention when you took this apart, you'll have a little washer. Washer goes on first. Okay, and then your pawl. Wherever that's at here. Right there. There is 2 spots for a pawl. This setup here only calls for 1. Okay. This clip I'm just going to tighten a little bit. Alright, you want to make sure that washer is down around. Okay, so this washer, not washer, this clip goes on just like this. You put it on backwards, it's not going to fling that pawl out whenever you pull the rope. You just gotta fight it sometimes to get it on there. Because there's the action, okay? So when you pull on it, it flings it out. Okay? Then on wind clockwise. A lot of people can't understand this concept. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna have to shorten this rope. I'm not sure yet. But here's what you need to do. You're gonna grab you a little bit like this. Okay? You're gonna grab this and you're gonna turn it like this. Okay? That's gonna wind that spring. And I'm holding it right at the rope rotor and I'm just rotating. Okay, you don't want the other half getting mixed up in there either. Just go like this. Oh no, that spring sounded pretty crunchy. We might have to replace that. Okay, so then you have to hold this from coming back. Okay, so what I do is you're gonna hold it and you have to twist this rope one way or the other. So I'm just kind of spinning this and unknotting it. Okay. Okay, now so I'm gonna just grab it here. Then I'm gonna easily let it go back in. I may have to shorten that rope because it's actually coming out of the rope rotor. You don't want that. That'll cause a problem down the road. It's not looking too bad. That looks okay. And that's how you do it. That's how you rerun a yo-yo. See that? Like I said, that spring under there don't sound so good. Another problem is you got to make sure that it's not going to hit the flywheel. Yeah, we should be good. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so like I said, we've been slowly getting parts in. The main one, we got the piston cylinder. Okay, so this is an aftermarket. The guy opted to go this route just for the simple fact the replacement from Stihl was like $250 for the piston and cylinder. So I haven't looked at this yet. We're just going to take it out, take a quick look. You know, it's from China, so God only knows what we're looking at here. You know, I explained to the guy, hey, you know, the replacement is this much, okay, and this was like a fraction of the cost. I think like $50. And it was like $50, right? So he says worth a shot. You know, people say you don't see the performance you would have if you bought a Stihl OEM replacement. You know, the answer to that, you'd have to have the solves with one piston and cylinder and then one with the original side by side, testing them. You know, let's see what we got in here. It was very smart, Einstein. There it is. Okay, so this kit come with the jug or the cylinder. And then it came with a piston, the 2 rings, the wrist pin, connecting rod pin, and your Oh Jesus clips. All right. I mean, I don't know, guys. That's looking. There's a little bit difference there in the piston skirt, but the locating pins for the rings are in the same spot. That's a good thing. I'm glad they kept that original location where it goes over the ports, and it's probably placed where it needs to be from factory. Yeah, I mean, they're just pretty much similar. And that you know, slipped right in there. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see how it goes. Let me get a micrometer. .46. This will probably be a little less. Yeah, 46. He almost opted to put the 49 mil piston that comes in the 039 or MS290s. Like I said, that's the main difference. You go from a 46 mil piston to a 49 mil piston. But you know, keeping original, keeping it simple here. Hey guys, when you get a new piston and cylinder, even from Stihl, okay, you have to tap the holes. And the bolts, the OEM bolts, they're self-cutters. They will cut the threads through the aluminum. Okay, I'll show you how to do that after a bit. You can't get too carried away because you have to count. Okay, so these go through. Okay, sometimes you'll get a hole like here, right? And it won't be tapped. That one is, okay? And you'll tap it and you won't take in consideration there's something mounted there, okay? So you have to consider that depth. You go too much, you'll go in through the cylinder and cause damage. So you have to figure out what's mounted there so you don't go too far in. I've done it before and ruined cylinders, let me tell you, because sometimes the coils will mount right here on the cylinder somewhere, okay? Not so much on chainsaws, but other handhelds. Yeah, so that's good. The opening looks all the same. Yeah, I think we're good the way this is looking. So I'm just gonna mark this so I know where it was what here. 358-7703. This is the hose for the oil, your bar and chain oil feed to the oil pump. 11276479400. And guys, you know, I understand buying some aftermarket stuff, but like when it comes to like the rubbers and stuff, you definitely want to go with OEM. I mean, it's just no, it's non-negotiable is what I say. Yeah, okay, piston cylinder I get, because the OEM's like 250 bucks. I saw it won't be worth it time we got done. But then again, I'm not sure how this is going to perform, but we're about to find out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing all back together. We're going to do a compression test and compare it to an OEM saw with an OEM piston cylinder and see the difference. Okay, and this is the impulse hose. This is what provides the fuel pump signal to the diaphragm and the carburetor. Okay, and that's your negative and positive pressure from the crankcase. That's how 2-cycle mainly works on these chainsaws. You got positive pressure as the piston is traveling down the cylinder, that's positive, and then when it's traveling up the cylinder, that is negative, or a vacuum more or less. And then here are your oil seals. Again, you want to get OEM when it comes to this. These little buggers are expensive. These are like 10 bucks each, right? 10 bucks each. And like I say, all Stihl parts, they put the Stihl logo or they write Stihl on them. Some way, fashion, or form, every Stihl part's got a logo or the actual name somewhere. There you go. And then I didn't share the part number with you guys. Oh, port and half. Let's see, 9693. No, I'm sorry, 9639-003-1743. Now guys, you go to your Stihl dealer when they order these seals, okay, pay attention, because Stihl offers 2 different kinds of seals, okay. For what we're doing, where the cases are apart, you have to use what they call the rigid seal, which is this. This is what was put in originally when they assembled these at the factory. And they also offered what they consider a soft seal. It is where you can replace the seals without splitting the crankcase. So that means you can replace the crankshaft seals with the engine still installed in the frame. Okay, and truthfully, if you're replacing the crankshaft seals, man, you might as well just pull the engine out and do the pan, because you know it's not far behind if it's not already causing an air leak. So just fix it. All right, just fix it. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's get this thing back together. Highly recommends this Dirko. It's very good stuff. Very expensive stuff. So there it is. Your part number is probably on here. This is what they call a contact adhesive. So this stuff, literally, you can assemble the engine, and time you get everything back together, you can fire it up and go. So let's see here. Where's your part number? It's got to be somewhere. Maybe that's the part number there. Not seeing anything else anywhere here. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm going to say that's probably your part number. But anyways, you can just search it here, go to your local dealer, and they should be able to hook you up. Good stuff. I wouldn't recommend anything else. Fuel hose in, and let's see here, and just make sure everything is good to go. And I don't know if this is like a... They put the serial number on the frame where you can see it assembled, right? There it is. They put it here, and then I just noticed they put it on the inside here. They put it here where you won't be able to see it. Why it's there too. Yep, there it is. Very odd. Alright, so first thing we're gonna do is get to that oil hose there, because this oil is just pouring out everywhere. You know what? I need to clean this. That's right. I need to clean all that out. Mount it in there. I had to get her and clean all the old oil out for it to do that. And you know, half the time there's so much wood and stuff inside there, you want to clean it out anyways. So all you gotta do is, here's your old hose, and this thing's as hard as a rock. That's why they leak. It should be soft and malleable. Anyway, so we're going to swap over our screen there. Get our Stihl part. Again, there's the Stihl logo. So pluck this off. Get rid of that. Here's your screen. You got to make sure that's not plugged. This one's looking okay. I'm still going to take some compressed air, make sure. Okay, and it goes on, let's see here, it goes on this side, it goes on the short side, I think. Yeah, it goes on the short side here. Alright, now we're going to put it in, slip it in. So you're going to feed the screen everything through. And if you want, put a little bit of oil here to help you seat it, which I'm going to do that. I was going to use some 2-cycle oil, then I'm going to use to lube up the engine as I put it together. Put a little bit on there like that. Now you may have to reach in through the tank here. I'm going to try to do it without having to do all that. A lot of times you can start bottom end like that on an angle, and then you're going to have to work it in. Just hold it there with your thumb. You're just going to have to work it in just like that. Just like that until it's seated. Okay, you want to take a peek on the inside and make sure that grommet's pulled all the way through. Sometimes I'll just reach in there and give it a little tug, and so I'm just going to reach in there with these double jointed pliers. Just make sure it's seated and it looks okay. So we're good there. Okay, then we're just going to feed it up through this hole for now. Just like that. Very difficult, let me tell you. We're changing this out, which means we have to disassemble all this. This is your problem child right here, okay? So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the brake, then I'm going to work his spring off. They make a tool, believe it or not, to reach in there, which I don't have here. easy part, getting it off. Now we got a couple clips here. Get your little pick and pay real close attention to these clips. So we need to get down to this guy here. Oh, there it went. That's right there. I got that there. Alright, so now I should be able to pull this off. Right. Alright, so I just pulled this band off here. It is grooved. It is grooved, so pay attention. You got a little washer spacer here, and pull that off. Okay. Now we have to get this pin out. So like I said, all this is going to have to come off together. Actually, that pin is part of the case. So I'm just going to kind of pull that back out of the way. Alright, so there's that. Alright, so there's that. So the idea is you have to get this sorted in through this channel or groove, right? Okay, get it in that groove first. I gotta slip this out and around that side. Believe me, there's probably an easier way, but I've yet to come across that. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, start that in through there. Push it on through. I guess I could have put that band in any time after this is all assembled. You have to make sure this is sitting here correctly. That spring is still back in there. It's hard to see, but there's a spring down in there. We didn't mess with that one, but that looks okay. And guys, looking at this, we got a problem here. This clip's halfway rotted off. See, there's all left of it. Just to get a clip. Anyways, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use the one that was closest to the, well, it goes there, because I'll be able to get to that one easier. So let's just put this clip on. And truthfully, this thing seems like it's rusted in there anyways. So I'm gonna give this thing a couple good whacks. There it went. It's supposed to be. This thing must have seen a lot of rust. Put some LubeTube on there. There we go. A little bit of sandpaper. Put some lube on there so it'll happen again soon. So I'm just seeing out this hole. Okay, and then your spring. And that goes there, like so. And now we can put the clip on. And there is a right way and then there's a wrong way. To put the clip on. Alright, that felt good. That snapped right in. Alright, so back to this shenanigans. Okay, so line your two holes up here. gotta make sure this is up there like that. Okay, so now that part with the spring we got to move back out of the way. And that's just a little clicking sound, well, part of the clicking sound when you're engaging and disengaging. Okay, so we can put this back on. Okay, that just fits in there just like that. Then it sits in the circumference of your clutch housing here. Okay, and then it has to fit over here. Okay, the spacer washer goes here. And that's the clip I'm going to need. If I can do that at a later date, not a big deal. So hit this with a little sandpaper. Well, I just realized there's no way to get this on. I mean, there is, but it's a struggle. So I'm just going to go get the right tool for the job. Get me a clip. Now, I don't know if this is the right one, but this is a 4mm clip. Okay, I do believe this is going to do the job. This is not an OEM part. Of course, the dealer didn't have them on stock once again, and so I just happen to have an assortment of them, and I believe that I can get one to work. Yeah, that's gonna work just fine. So we'll put that on. Oh yeah, that sounded good. Yeah, we're good there. Alright, now the fun part. So you have to make yourself a little special tool. Okay, I just took me a little chisel and I ground out a pocket here. That's going to allow this to fit around this pin. Because the only way to get this spring on without hurting yourself is using leverage. So we're going to hook this in here. Okay, I'm going to come here like this. Okay, and I'm going to work this down. Yeah, easier said than done sometimes. You're not going to get the first try, let me tell you. You think that distance there won't be tough to get it on there, but what's the problem? It's almost too thick yet. I might have to go grind it down some more. There we go. Believe me, it's going to take you some struggling. The Stihl tool is a little thinner and it's more rounder, and it just allows you to pop it right on. But be careful, it's usually not that easy. Alright, so let's get our cover on it, way everything stays into place here. A few crusties in there. It should be working good in here. I'll hold everything in there so screws. 2 short ones just like that one. Remember, T27s. Okay, so with that all together, let's just make sure this works. Yep, that feels good. Oh yeah. Perfect. I'm not gonna mess with it too much because it ain't supported on this side. So we don't want to break it here. Alright, let's get the fuel hose in. And new fuel filter. Here's your fuel filter. Now, the part number on this is 4 zeros, so that's 0000 350 3500. That's your Stihl part number for that. And then I already showed you guys the part number before for the hose. There it is again. And of course, with the shoulder facing out is how it goes in the tank, and it also needs to be oriented a certain way. You're going to line up this flat spot here, this flat spot here. So I'm just going to reach through here, give a pull. Okay, pull it down. Give it a little bit of a twist. Now, this is where you need to make a little special tool for yourself. Get you a piece of 12-2 wire. Make your little hook. And you have to pull that up out of there. They give you a little section here. Well, not on this one, that's the old hose. But they give you a little section to hook around. So they give you this. They give you this here to hook onto. Okay, and then you put your fuel filter on. Okay. Alright. Let's just put the fuel cap on loosely. Now, one of the parts I didn't change is this guy right here. That's a tank vent. That feels fine. It's still malleable, it's not hard, and it's not leaking. So we're not going to worry about that, and that's an easy part to get to. Grab your freshly cleaned crankshaft. To the side. Let's get our lovely Chinese piston and cylinder here. Oh man. Okay, so we're gonna get ready to put this thing back into the frame. So this is our piston cylinder. This is a Chinese made. I checked it out, it all looks the same. As far as quality, I'm sure it's not up to Stihl standards, but we're about to find out how good this thing can actually run. Let's get the rings out. Now guys, when you are replacing piston cylinders on these, generally you get like an OEM piston cylinder. You don't have to worry about too much. You don't have to worry about some extra slag from the plating process. You want to make sure there's no burrs in here. Alright, you're going to check out the piston, and really a lot of this stuff has came a long way as far as them copycatting or copying Stihl. I mean, some of it's different, you know, can't be exact, but it is 46 mil piston, so we do know that much, so that's accurate. You know, and on 2-cycle there is no size in the rings. Okay, well, on chainsaw 2 cycles I should say. And also the rings are not chamfered on the end, but cut in such a way it fits around a locating pin right there. You see that? That's a locating pin. So that positions your rings a certain way. And there is no lower ring, top ring. No such thing. You know, they both say HY. There's no T or anything like that. So let's get the rings on. I just want to make sure these locating pins are actually tight. That one feels good, because you don't know about this Chinese stuff, man. That one there's tight. I mean, hell, that could fall out of there and you never know it until the engine blew up again. Alright, so we're going to put the lower ring on first. Now you have to put these on a certain way. So in this case, the writing faces up. Let's just make sure this fits in here good. Okay, that feels good. That all feels okay. But to fit around the locating pin, you have to face these rings the right way, meaning up. So I'm going to start in the first slot. Okay, and I'm going to work it down to the next slot. Believe me, I'm be careful with these rings. They're not Okay, we're good there. Again, face it up, letters up, so it fits around your locating pin. And also, this arrow means something. So this always faces towards the exhaust port. Okay? So if I'm sitting just like that, here's your spark plug hole, here's your exhaust port. And that principle is pretty much across the board for 2-cycle. And the arrow faces towards the exhaust. Alright, so now let's get it attached to the crankshaft. So with that said, you gotta pay attention. So you gotta picture this, which way this goes. This side here is your flywheel side, the tapered side, and then this is your clutch side. So what we're gonna do is get the saw, and I'm going to picture this so I know that's wrong. I know the clutch side is on the side with the brake that we just got done putting together, and then the flywheel is on this side. So I know this is how this goes, and then the arrow's going to face that way. So clutch on the right, just like that. So, let's see here. Get your roller cage bearing here. This is your bearing for the small end on the connecting rod. I just want to make sure that fits on that pin right. Alright, so get you some fresh oil, put that on. Before we do that, we're going to put one of our clips on. I'm going to put the clip on the left side here, and be careful handling this piston so you don't break your rings. You know, same principle applies here. You don't want to put the open end on your in that gap where you remove them from. A lot of times just get them in there and then you can adjust them from there. Okay, so that's not seated, but it is started. Okay, there it went. Nice audible click. And I'm going to turn that a little bit because it is. I'm just going to put 180 from that groove. I'm going to slip it in there, get some fresh oil. And so now we're going to put this side in. And I just start that the open side in first. I'm going to put this in the vise so it can be held. Okay, so we got that in. So make sure it's in the groove. It is. It looks all good. Okay, I'm going to check the other side one more time. Alright, so we're all good there. Now we're ready to lubricate your piston and rings. Put some fresh oil on there, not a lot. Same here with your rings. You don't want to put too much, okay? Just want to get some oil down on them pins. Okay, and we're still good there, facing that way. I know it's towards the exhaust. We're gonna get these the ring gaps where they need to be. Now, these cylinders are tapered, so you can pretty much start this in just like this, and the rings will pull in by themselves with a little bit of wiggle, and it'll drop right in. And you don't need no spring compressor or all that. All right, so let me check this. So, okay, yeah, so the air goes that way. Now you just want to pay attention when you're going down that your end gaps stay where they need to be. Okay, just like that. You can see them as they're going in to make sure it's not catching. Okay, so that all feels good. So I already cleaned the cylinder and all that before we did this. So just so you know, there it is coming up. The ring's still good. You know, that all feels good. Everything feels good. And also, there's really no timing with this. The only timing that matters is this keyway and the flywheel keyway for the ignition timing. It's set from factory. If this gets buttered up or the keyway breaks and then the flywheel could be off, then that could cause you a problem. But as long as the keyway is good, there's no timing to worry about. You guys remember, if you remember, a sleeve was seized on here. Actually, one of these spacers that sit in the case is stuck to one of these bolts. But we got it out, not a big deal. We can reuse it. So now we're ready to put our crankshaft seals in, and then seal the crank cases. All right, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. That's why you want to get your. That's why you need to get this all ready, because when you put the cases together, right? When you put the cases together, it's like this. So when you put the cases together, and bolts come up through here, right? So you have to have everything ready. Fuck, all this dirt keeps coming. So first thing, I'm going to prep the surfaces here. Take some of this. Clean off. I'm guessing this is probably some leftover of the plating for the cases. And this is already cleaned up, ready to go. get you some carb cleaner and kind of hit that real quick. Make sure that's clean. Recall, but we marked the case, so I know which way this goes. I know it goes this way, and it matters because where this hole lines up through the case or the engine frame. Alright, so I know that. Alright, so get your Dirko. So that's the problem. I need something to hold this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so you're going to want to lubricate your seals before you put them on. A little bit here, and I'm not going to get it on the engine cases. And also make sure your tension ring is there also. These showed up and one of them was off. Alright, so Stihl recommends applying Dirko on the outer edge here and then installing these. So what I've learned over the years is to do your case first. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a bead of silicone on the case here. Sets up pretty quick, so you can't be messing around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lubricate this seal here on the inside, both of them. Okay, I'm going to clean my fingers off. And on this engine here, these are the same part number, so it don't matter which way they go on, or it don't matter what side. Okay, so when you put these on, this faces out, the writing faces out, just like most seals. That way you can get them to sit in there. The clutch side is generally a little harder to deal with because it's not tapered like this side. Okay, and then you're gonna drop it down and you're gonna make sure they're seated all the way back. There's a shoulder in here. Okay, now we're going to line up our scribe mark. My scribe mark is here, and it's here on the case. Just look at that one more time. Everything looks good. This here got a little out of whack, but that still looks okay. Alright, we're going to squeeze these together. Okay. Alright, so there it is. So now we need to hurry up and get it in here and get it fastened into place. You know what? I think I screwed up. I think I screwed up big time. If I remember correctly, this all has to, oh no, it does go in all together. I didn't screw up. I was thinking you had to, now you're going to want to hold this thing kind of together here. Okay, so these are self-tapper screws. So I'm just going to put a little dab of oil, ever so slightly. I should have pre-tapped the hole. That's not a big deal. We can take care of that. Oh, screwed up there. Get that hose out of the way. Okay, I'm looking at these seals to make sure all these seals are still good. Okay, you're gonna just have to work these back and forth. Okay, you guys remember, I had to beat that bit into this one, into this screw. Back that off again, and then clamp it down. Okay, I'm just making sure. And see, this side ain't all the way tight. That's okay. So I'll keep cranking on it. There we go. I could see a gap through there. It's probably because this cylinder's not true. Remember, we're messing with aftermarket stuff. If my spikes got me, you can see all the silicone squeezing out here, and that's good. You want to see that. And then I'm going to just rotate the piston up and down, and that all feels good. Make sure nothing's binding. Yeah, I messed up and I should have pre-tapped the cylinder. I totally forgot about that. And you can always go tighter, but you always can't undo what you've done as far as over tightening. Okay. Well, that feels good. Alright, so let's get this all cleaned up. Let that set up overnight. You'll be able to pull that right out in one piece. Don't even try cleaning it right now. Alright, so that makes me feel better. That's all together. The seals are still in there. That's a thousandths gauge. It's not going in there, so I know that's tight. So let's get this oil pump back together. Here's the old worm gear. Just totally gone. I don't know if the original oil pump works. Okay, let me see something here. There's an O-ring down in here, and it feels okay, believe it or not. There's an O-ring that sits in. You want to make sure that's good. So there's the O-ring I need to get at. That tiny little guy right there. If this will work. It's a 7mm total width across, and then a 1.5 mm thickness. That's what works. Okay, so we're gonna fit this on. And that feels pretty good. Alright, so now 2 little screws here. Fasten this on. Okay, that all seems good. Okay, so let's put this cover back on. That way I feel a little safer on that spring. Loosen that up and put this on. Make sure all that feels good. Yep, feels good. Alright. And notice the threads went down. If you guys remember, here's the old one. It's all melted and the brass bushing was all in pieces. Not good. Already put the clutch on. Remember, opposite threads. And you don't have to get too carried away with this. Because it'll tighten. Remember, run tighten to the left. I'm just going to hit it lightly. Well, it kind of works if the spark plug's in there. Alright, that's good. I saw a rough spot in that pump. Not a good sign. Alright, now we need to grease the bearing. This is some bell ray. This is what I use on my motorcycles. And believe me, that grease is not going to stay there very long once this all starts running. Attention, this little notch here has to line up with that worm gear. And I can see it's right here, right? And you'll hear it drop in. I'm actually going to line it up wrong. You hear that? I hate to say it, but that bearing shot. That's not good. Well, it'll be enough to test this off. Maybe we can get another bearing and go from there. That's the problem right there. Able to find the torque specs. You know, you won't find this stuff on the internet. If you do, it's a dealer not honoring their contract with Stihl. Stihl don't divulge that information to the, we'll say, the public. They keep most of their stuff private if possible. That's what keeps Stihl going the way it is. Just not giving all their information out, you know. But what I can say is, so I found the torque specs. So the bolts that mount through the case to the engine case, they call that a collar screw. No, I'm sorry, what do they call that? They call that lower pan to cylinder screw. And those are torqued to 8.3 foot-pounds. So Stihl uses Newton meter. So when you in the foot-pounds, it ends up almost always being a decimal. So it's 8.13. Alright, so with that said, we're going to mount this. This is our last screw for the engine pan. And this is what they call a collar screw for the guide bar / crankcase. And this is torqued to 22 foot-pounds. Alright? And they want you to apply some Loctite, some medium strength Loctite, which is generally the blue stuff. I'm gonna clean these threads off, make sure that's all good. Right, remember when we took this out, we double nutted it with bar nuts. And that's the same way it's gonna go back in. A little bit of Loctite, first few threads. Alright. I generally don't do this, but for a visual for you guys, this is already preset. .22 foot-pounds. Believe me, that felt a little tight, but torqued down just fine. So now we need to get this off. Anyways, so we got them on. We got that on, Loctite it in. Let's put these off to the side. You gotta put a little force behind it, but I've never torqued them to 36 foot-pounds. And believe me, shoving something in this cylinder and locking it down and torquing it that much, it does not make you feel very comfortable, let me tell you. Alright, so let's take a look at this muffler. Okay, I thought I screwed up. I thought you had to put the muffler studs in. Now we're going to do that. We're going to put the muffler on. Got your 3 bolts here. And to bring you guys down here, I think. Alright, so I got our gasket cleaned up. Must go like this. Drop that on. What's gonna happen? Oh, missed the hole. There we go. Alright, we should have a couple of nuts, several nuts. They're pretty crusty. And honestly, guys, you know, these roll low, so it's 5 foot-pounds. For a torque wrench, it goes down to 5 foot-pounds. So we're gonna have to just do it by hand, just like any other time. Spark plug. BM6A. It should be a BPM R7A or a WSR6F Bosch, and the other would be an NGK. Liable on, loose, so we gotta add. Alright, so we're gonna degrease this, and we're gonna get this mounted. And that, my friends, clutch flywheel nut is torqued to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, excuse me, 20.65. Use card cleaner, but be careful, don't try and get on your seals there. Get that cleaned up. Looks pretty good. Remember, line up your keyways. Okay, you have a keyway right here. And it's facing about 3 or so. You got a keyway in here. See this? Where do I? Alright, so let's get the coil mounted loosely. Here's our coil with the wiring. And make sure everything's there yet. And you can kind of tell where all this stuff went. And then like this. Those 2 ground wires went there. These 2 ground wires sit in this channel here, both of them together. Alright. Screw these down. You ain't gonna get a torque spec on these. I mean, they're screws. Alright. And you're not gonna tighten these down all the way until you get the flywheel on. Like I did that one. You want this to be able to move so you can set the air gap. Alright, let's get a ground screw. So this doesn't look like it's tapped. So we'll have to tap this. Okay, a flywheel sits in this area, so you have to make sure these ground wires are clear. Alright, so line your keyways up. Put your nut on. And this is torqued to 20 foot-pounds. So, again, you need something to block the cylinder, which I don't like to do, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I just use me a piece of rope. Okay, take this spark plug out. Okay, we'll try that there. The tool still makes it plastic. Like I said, I'm not too fond of it. 20.65. We'll just call it 20. Okay, that's 20. 20. Alright. Now we can set the gap. You're looking around 10 thousandths. That's a good number. So, you can use a credit card like some people do. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. And what you're doing is you got your north and south magnets here. That's what you're going to bring around in front of the coils. And you don't want to get this wrong. Too much, weak spark. Too close, and you're looking at some busted engine parts. Okay. I'm checking on both sides here. Here. And these are 4,000, so that's only 8, but let me tell you, it'll work. It's close enough. But if you want to be spot on, 10 thousandths. Sweet. Looking good. Alright, so let's see what else we got going on here. I think we're getting pretty close to putting on the handle and the housing, the handle housing. Let's see what I got here. Move all this junk out of the way. This out of the way. So this junk out of the way. All the old parts. Okay, so we need to put on the rubber boot here. So the rubber boot went like this, and there's a little mark right here. Okay, so that looks good. Let's put a clamp on. Alright, that feels good. Nice and tight. This side faces towards the carburetor. This is what sits in the housing. This hole right here, right? Alright, so get your pair of needle noses, slip that on there. There's no up and down, just front to back, doesn't matter. Okay, forget these. This goes on the inside and this goes on the outside of your boot. our bearing here for the clutch drum was no good. Let me just show you. This is not how this goes on, but this is just for demonstration purposes. See that? That's the old one. There's the new one. A lot tighter. Now this drum's probably worn some, but not enough to replace it, so we're not going to worry about that. So remember, get you some grease. Like I said, I use me some Bell Ray. Good stuff. I'm just going to grease that bearing up. Believe me, after you run this on and get hot, the grease just runs away. Right here. That line lets you know that's where the notches for the worm, or for the pinion pump, or worm gear, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that just dropped right on there. Oh, that feels 100 times better. Alright, so that feels good, light looks good. Alright guys, so thanks for sticking around. I'm gonna have to cut this one off. It's getting a little lengthy, so but I'll see you in part 3.